Censor.
Well,
now we're recording.
It
There we
says
go.
it.
And so
Behind
all
that
I was
Good
just
thing
gonna
I
say-
checked.
all
my
I was just gonna
God, that would
say
have been
is
awful. Welcome to Indistinct Chatter. I'm Tanner.
I'm
I'm
Austin.
Vlad.
Oh God.
Oh
God, start over.
Didn't even talk
Welcome
about
to
any-
Indistinct Chatter. I'm Tanner.
I'm Vlad.
I'm Austin.
I'm Griffin.
And this is our show. On this show, we really don't know what it is yet. Y'all are going to find out the same time we do. We are four homies who haven't really seen each other in a minute. So we wanted to bring our conversations to a wider audience because they're pretty damn weird. And that's the fun part about this. Speaking of which, Griffin, you've been sitting on something for like a week now.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
got a nuclear warhead in his back pocket.
Yeah, I'm ready. I got the codes in my back pocket. But I don't know. Before I even drop the real topic, I feel like it's worth noting, Tanner, you said that we haven't seen each other in a minute. For myself, I haven't even seen some of the gentlemen in this podcast.
Yeah, so yeah.
True.
So we play video games together, but I've never even met Griffin. Or
Yeah,
I don't think
so-
Vlad has either.
So
No, I haven't.
the way it goes is Tanner and I, we are buddies from like way back in middle school. Like we went to the same place back in, you left in like the 3rd grade, right?
Yeah, I left young. I moved and yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Griffin and I were homies from not even middle school, like elementary school. And then I became friends with Vlad and Austin in California. And we just like really started just mobbing together. And then we were playing video games. I don't even know how I introduced Griffin in. It was just
I do
one
know
day
how.
you were there.
Yeah, it's because one day, you and I think earlier in the whole quarantine, our poor excuse of the quarantine rather, we started playing GTA a little bit here and there, but then I was like the ex-girlfriend, the crazy ex-girlfriend, and I was watching that it said that you were online with other people. And one day you invited me to the party, and it was these two gentlemen amongst a couple of
I do remember
others.
that.
Yeah.
Actually,
and then
I do remember that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I was
And then
like,
we
You know what's
gamed-
funny? I think I followed Griffin on Instagram before that.
I was gonna say
we
Instagram
all
was
follow
my
each
introduction
other.
to him.
and
So we've always known of each other.
Yeah, I didn't know. And then he came in the chat and I was like, this man has a deep voice. I wasn't expecting this. Because like I'm a big dude and I don't have as deep a voice as people think. And so I was like thinking like, oh, like he's like me. He doesn't have as deep of a voice as I would think. And then, he came in and he was like, yo, what up? It's Griffin. And I was like, oh, okay.
Young
He is
Jeezy on the
black.
mic. Yeah, so so we don't even really know each other for the most part. But you know what? That's besides the point.
That's a great thing about today's world. You get to know each other without meeting each other.
Exactly.
The world's so small.
Yeah.
We play Red Dead together and we cowboy up.
Red Dead.
Yeah, we get to lasso him. But I say to the topic at hand, as Tanner was kind of saying, I dropped the seeds of a real nuclear bomb on you guys last week. Just so you guys got to thinking about it. I asked the question, could we ever have a real life Thanos?
That's all he gave us. He didn't
yeah.
give us any other information.
I guess to expand on that is my whole thought process is, and I love that this is already such a nerdy start. It's like, oh, we're getting into comic books and Marvel, but whatever.
Damn right.
Yeah, seriously, we're coming out all swinging, whatever. But yeah, so my whole idea is basically, I'm sure you guys have noticed it as well. So many other people in the world notice that in so many of the Hollywood movies that we see these days, there's always the character that wants to go and just destroy all of humanity, right? They're just, for regardless of whether their reasons, I mean, let's face the facts, most of them are really crap. If we use another Marvel movie as an example, if I remember correctly, that dark elf in Thor was just trash. He didn't really have motivation. He's just like, human bad, get rid of him. And that seems to be like every character ever. I mean, Idris Elba's character in Fast and Furious, do you remember his motivation for wanting to kill half the...
No idea.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost always half-baked. However, every once in a while you get a villain whose motivations are perfect. Everything they do is absolutely justified and they make sense. And I think Thanos is a great example of that, where Thanos's whole thing is there are just too damn many of us at the end of the day. And there's a lot of problems that can associate with that. And that's something that people talk about all the time in the real world. We see unfolding all the time. There's just intense wage gaps, and there's way too many people here. We're getting really close to an overpopulation. And so it's going to lead to just an ungodly amount of poverty, disease. I mean, all kinds of ridiculous things.
Wars for resources.
Homelessness. Yeah. Hunger, world hunger is only going to get worse. And so the question is not necessarily, do we think that there's going to be a man who comes out of the universe with 6 magical stones to make us go away, as much as it is, do you think there's ever going to be some kind of global reckoning that, I don't know, attempts to reverse all of our screw ups thus far?
I guess before we talk about like here's the thing, right? So there's like Endgame Thanos and there's like Infinity War Thanos, and it was like
totally different characters.
He came with a good idea, right? And this is what I think this is what faults, like what leads to the faults of like the characters, and why it's like you can still feel good for the good guys, kind of like just letting the normal be normal, even though like these people could probably end world hunger. It's Captain America and Tony Stark could easily end world hunger and all over the galaxy. But I think what happens is he says he wants to erase half of all life, doesn't he? Not half of all. Yeah, so it's like then we're back to the same problem, because it's like we don't have enough crops, we don't have enough animals. You know what I mean? So it's like he's just causing the problem on a smaller scale. He's not fixing the problem.
That's true.
Okay.
And so
I actually never thought
like,
about that.
Because people all the time are like, we need a new plague. And it's like, yeah, but the plague isn't going to affect the people who are responsible.
Do you think that like making space, is that essentially what he's doing? Because not all
ends up in the same spot though. Like no matter what you do, and that's the whole idea with like there's too many of us on Earth.
He's just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, like Earth was never like able-bodied to sustain the amount of people that we have now, and inevitably, like not in our generation and not in the generation to follow, but maybe the one after that, or who knows, further down the line, inevitably it'll be too much for Earth to handle. And this ties into like an even bigger conversation of where human history derives from, and like what we know is the origins of our human history. There's a very good chance that like our snippet of our history followed one that existed where people were doing the exact same thing and theorizing and talking, and then that got wiped out to the point where no one's alive to talk about it.
This man's been playing Assassin's Creed.
No, there's just a coworker of mine that we kind of have these talks, and it sprung from our conversation of like the way Christmas started and how the idea of like Christmas has completely evolved in the last 100 years. It didn't even used to be on the same day. Like, obviously now it's much more of a commercial, and like, it's more of a holiday that relies on the actual material aspect of it. But like the idea of Christmas, there may not even be someone alive that remembers what Christmas used to be. And even if they are, Christmas. So it's the same thing with human history. Like there's a good chance that our snippet and like everything that we know with our history is only, for the last however many thousands of years, like we know back. But there could be a before that, and there might be an after where even everything we've known and our whole reality gets wiped out, and then we start over. So I just think, I don't know, it goes into
I could see where somebody who's powerful enough would be like, this is how we fix the problem, and they like create a paramilitary group and they like just like do it on their own. Mm-hmm. Whether or not like that's the problem, right? Is the people who are responsible for these plagues and responsible for global warming are never going to have to truly pay for their sins, because it's like, you ever seen the movie Elysium? They just leave, like the billionaires. They just leave. And it's like, you guys are the ones that are responsible. You should have to stay here and pay for your society. Sins. And it's like countries that are majority black and brown, poor countries are going to be the ones who are going to actually be affected by this stuff. And that's why it's like when you see these people on social media, I got in this argument with the guy on Instagram because he was like, we need a new plague. We need to get rid of a lot of people. And it's like, yeah, but we need to get rid of the people who are responsible for this shit, not like a bunch of black and
not
brown,
just anyone.
Like a bunch of people who live tribal lifestyles or whatever that are in the Pacific that have given nothing to this. Mm-hmm. And even us, it's like, I think the capitalist society we live in has created this way to make us feel ashamed for like the way we live our lives, when ultimately driving a Dodge truck isn't affecting the environment nearly as much as
Sponsorship.
nearly
we're
as,
not sponsored.
We're not
no, that's
sponsored by
because-
Dodge.
I said-
We're not
I said-
sponsored by Dodge.
I said it because Griffin drives a Dodge.
Yeah,
But,
you just shitting on me.
Griffin is in fact sponsored by Dodge.
but it's like that stuff that we do, not recycling when every single time when we're supposed to, isn't affecting the planet nearly as much as like coal factories. Like,
Right.
and so us reducing our carbon footprint's not going to do anything, even if we all do it. You know, it's
which
like
is impossible.
yeah, and so like that's the whole thing where it's like Thanos, if he was smart, wasn't he like a diplomat or some shit? Wasn't he like or something? I don't know. He was like a soldier. He should have seen the writing on the wall and been like, you don't
I guess we'll
destroy
find out
everybody.
what he is.
Yeah, I guess because he's gonna be in the show, but you don't destroy everybody. You don't just like, you know, rock paper scissors half of all people by chance. It has to be like a concerted effort if you're really trying to do the right thing. But ultimately, like you can't really hold anybody.
So what you're
know.
saying is he should have snapped Tony Stark away.
No, this is what he should. Yeah, he should have gotten the guillotine and been like, "Come on in, Jeff Bezos."
I mean, the whole
That'll be
idea
the new
was
French
like,
Revolution.
I think the idea was that it was unbiased. That
Yeah.
like, you know, there's so many villains that are like that, and then there are villains who aren't. Marvel has a perfect counter to that, which is Zemo in Civil War, where he's not biased. His whole thing is to attack
Zemo rules.
superheroes, you know, which honestly, like, he's right. Like, even Vision in that movie talks about like our very existence incites stronger foes. It's the idea. It's the
we
quote
dropped
from
a country on. We dropped a city on top of a country.
Well, that's the
and it's our. And we
you
did
know
nothing to
who
stop
was
it.
doing that?
Yeah.
Fucking Ultron. Because he even said, he was like, in order for there to be peace, we got to take out the Avengers too, because you guys are part of the issue.
Yeah,
like,
because if you guys didn't exist, people wouldn't.
ultimately, like, Ultron's a good guy.
Well,
But
it's
I mean,
escalation.
there's
It's the
so
idea
when
of
he cuts the
escalation.
dude's arm off.
That's all.
When he cuts what's his
Claw?
name's arm off.
And
That shit's
Yeah.
tight.
yeah.
Alfred.
See, I feel like that. Damn. All right, I totally lost my train of thought. Never mind. Keep going.
That
No, no,
superheroes
no, no.
shouldn't exist.
Oh wait, no. So
Okay,
with regards
Zemo.
to like Ultron and
Scorsese.
Vision, I mean, they talk about how no, not Martin Scorsese. They talk about how they're two sides of like the same coin. I could have sworn I heard.
Why did you say that name?
What did you say that name?
Because he
so,
said
like-
no more superheroes.
Yeah. So if you guys recall, Ultron. God, we're really getting nerdy already.
Let's do
the-
it.
Welcome to the 1,000,000th and 500th Marvel cast.
Yeah, but no, they were created for the same reason, like with the same goal of having like an AI that can handle some of this kind of stuff. Except Vision was the good version of that, and Ultron was the bad version of that, right? And so my thing is like, and then this could start to touch on the whole idea of Star Wars as well. We're just getting really into it, of where
let's go,
the Jedi are peacekeepers. But then I have a less nerdy conversation, like away from comic books, on the same note though. But yeah, like the whole idea of like keeping the peace. Yeah, one way to do it is get rid of all humans, because at the end of the day, we are responsible for just about all the crap in the entire. I can confidently say all the crap in the entire world. But that being said, violence is a natural thing, because I mean, think about a wolf. They have to, at the end of the day, hunt a deer in order so that the wolf can live. So that the wolf can live. So you have a really interesting intersection of like your personal homeostasis to make sure that you are constantly in a state of peace, to make sure that everything you have is completely settled and squared away. But at the same time, that's always to a degree going to come at the expense of something else.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's a duality.
There's something to be said about like how evolution works and how it's like this had to happen, like the way we live, because it's like if it wasn't supposed to happen, it wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? So it's like
it's fated.
humans come around, right? And like these very intelligent great apes come around, our brains get really big, and the way we share information, we don't need to experience everything, like to share, you know, intelligence and all that stuff, right? But it's like we wipe out the planet and then we up ourselves out. The planet's going to recover. That's the thing, right? Is it's
I've been saying I've been saying that forever.
So we're not killing
humans
the planet.
aren't concerned with saving the planet. They're concerned with saving
because
the human race.
we're not going to kill the planet.
Well, yeah,
we're
of
going
course
to kill
we are.
ourselves. We're going to make it uninhabitable, and then life will continue without us, because a fucking meteor hit the planet and killed the dinosaurs, and we're still here.
Yeah,
you know, a little shrew went into a tree or whatever and came out, and then now there's people.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
There it is, the start of
So it's like, what would have happened if that didn't happen? You know what I mean? So it's like the existence of humans is a mass extinction event in a way, because I mean, there's more biomass on the planet now than there ever has been, but ultimately we're killing off the diversity. And so I like the whole idea behind, like, I guess it does make sense when you look at it that way, but ultimately there still isn't a big enough biodiversity in the universe, galaxy, whatever, because his snap was universe wide, right?
Yeah.
Through all of
affected
reality.
anything and everything.
Did it affect to get into the multiverse, did it affect the other universes?
We don't know yet.
No?
Honestly, that's probably what Doctor Strange is going to be about, is that they're seeing that the snap affected other universes, because I don't see why they would start getting involved with other universes.
That would make sense why Cap comes back then, because people are like, oh, Captain America's coming back. Maybe he'll travel with.
Well, he's rumored as like.
Well, that's a Captain Hydra thing.
Hydra.
Yeah, it's just rumored that Chris Evans will play like an alternate reality Captain America.
I doubt
that was like recruited. I doubt it too.
He's Black Superman.
Wait.
Well, no. Black Superman is just a suit that he wears. He's
Black Superman is Michael B. Jordan photoshopped onto the Superman costume when they announced that they wanted to maybe make Michael B. Jordan Superman.
So I have a second question to continue the Thanos conversation. And it sounded like Austin was starting to go there. And this is a really interesting thing for me because I studied this kind of stuff.
Wait, before we get into this, I'm so sorry. Can I interject with another question? Because I feel like this.
Hey, speak your truth, son.
This is a quick one. What's y'all's apocalypse plan?
What kind of apocalypse? I have to know.
Okay, based on let's say the snap happens and you survive, but you know, maybe everyone you know doesn't.
Dude,
like, what's your plan?
I just turned my PlayStation back on.
Yeah, I'm thriving, my G. No traffic.
That's not that dramatic in my opinion.
The snap's not
no traffic.
That much.
No, there's nothing but traffic because people got snapped mid-drive. Like this shit didn't happen at 2 a.m. when the highways are open. This shit happened in the middle of the day.
That's a good point,
dude.
No, it didn't happen in the middle of the day because there's a world of days.
Yeah, there's a world of days.
Yeah, there's a world of days.
Yeah, but it's like your middle of the day. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
All I know, I'm gonna be upset, obviously. But what am I supposed to do about it?
Yeah, I'm gonna be like,
I'm gonna be upset, but
I don't know.
Rent's gonna go down.
So I get that it like ruins the point of the question, but it's an impossible question to ask because there's no way to prepare for, like Austin said, what kind of apocalypse. You don't know. Like any day, like
if there's zombies, I got a plan.
Like everyone's always like the apocalypse. It's the zombie.
What's your zombie
like,
plan?
Well, but before we get into the zombie plan, I'll say this: is the whole idea of the snapping, is that what they dubbed it, or just the snap?
No, it's just the snap.
Okay, so
and then apparently them coming back is the blip.
The clap.
Yeah. That's reserved for something else.
The thing about that is, it's a traumatic event, but I don't necessarily consider that an apocalypse because there's still 3.5 billion people in the world. You could still get just about everything done.
But like the world as they knew it was over.
Yes, but it's not.
It's like one Subway that's closed.
You see, as soon as Endgame starts,
Subway restaurant or Subway like service.
But yeah, you see
that in a hospital.
You see that life is still pretty much the same once Endgame starts up. Yeah, they have support groups and everything.
Well, you move forward,
but it's not an apocalypse. But my thing is, when it's a zombie apocalypse type thing, where the world is actively continuing to steamroll against itself, and you have things that are trying to eat you. Nothing's trying to eat you in the event of the snap. You know what I mean? It's just like it's a 1 second event that is terrible, but it lasts.
Yeah, you're bummed, but there's nothing you could do.
How does that stuff start? Like in like The Walking Dead, what's their excuse?
In The Walking Dead, they don't know yet what started it. There was a
We're
guy.
Like 11 seasons.
They're like 9 seasons in, and they still don't know how it started.
They go to the CDC, and a guy there like tells them, and he tells somebody, and then the guy kills himself. So nobody knows.
Oh yeah, that's true. And he did say that no matter how you die, you're gonna become a zombie as well.
Yeah, it's some sort of virus.
Every zombie movie I see, I'm like, why are you going to continue? Oh my God, I'm so burpy. This is beer.
The bubble guts.
Excuse me. Every time I watch a zombie movie, I'm like, what? Y'all defeated it. Y'all got through 2 hours of screen time past the zombie apocalypse. Now you have to go the rest of your life running from like doing the same thing all the time. I don't get
so
it.
Realistically, in a zombie apocalypse,
bullet to the head.
Swallow a bullet day one. But
thank you.
I mean,
It
Here's the
depends if
thing,
you have
right?
something
It
worth
depends on if you have
fighting
something to
for.
Like
live
maybe
for.
go for a
Exactly,
week, see how
exactly.
it is.
That's
You
the
know,
point of
Yeah.
like The Last of Us. Is
If
that
you have something
keep
to live
finding
for,
something to fight for.
of course, but like, say your whole family dies, everybody you know, I can't get in contact with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pull up to
Yeah,
Vlad's house because he's gonna have left. So I'm like, I'm not gonna be. First of all, if I'm by myself, it's over. I'm drowning myself. I don't. If I'm alone,
Drowning yourself.
Not
That's a
even
terrible way to
drowning.
go.
yo,
I have a pool. I can hear my pool. But I'm just saying, like, if I'm alone, not even gonna try, even a little bit, because first of all, I'm scared of the dark. I'm a 28-year-old man. I'm scared of the dark, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
That's fine.
I
respect it.
you know, I just
Same.
I have enough survival skills to survive in like the wilderness, but I don't have enough survival skills to like survive that shit. I need help. And so it's like I have a zombie apocalypse plan if it's like everybody in my house is here, all my homies are alive or whatever, and they're like, "This is a zombie apocalypse," and they know it, and it's on the news for a couple of days, because that's what happens in The Walking Dead. So in The Walking Dead, in episode 1 that you see, he just wakes up because he was in a coma. He got shot. In the other series, Fear the Walking Dead, they know for days and weeks. Like society is slowly, it doesn't like crumble. Like in some movies, it's just over.
Well, yeah, because
it's a slow burn.
Seeing a little girl as a zombie, right?
No, he wakes up in a hospital.
No, but
with
like
a giant
the
beard.
cold open of the show, isn't it like him?
Yeah,
and
he's on a highway.
Correct.
In
in the cold
car.
open, he's on a horse, and there's like a zombie
He's on a
little girl,
horse.
and he blasts her. Yeah, he's on
In
a
the
horse.
first episode, I thought he's like on a highway.
No, that's
He's on a highway
after
on a
they
horse.
Run the no, Vlad. What you're thinking? It starts on the horse, and then he sees the zombie girl, and he blows her brains out.
He
But
gets
then-
off the horse.
and then the title cards run, and then afterwards you see
You-
kind of like the whole situation with
Yeah,
him
and then he
doing
wakes up
shooting
in the
on
coma.
highway. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you see how
I
he
don't
got
even
to the little
know.
girl.
I haven't
So,
seen The Walking
anyways,
Dead.
Me neither.
so
Just the
they
first.
know it's coming, and like his buddy Shane, the guy who like sleeps with his wife,
Scumbag.
he
On
puts, like,
Barenthal.
he puts like a medical, like a hospital bed in the way of the door so that nobody can get in, and he's just like, hope you figure, like, this is my last ditch to like try and help you. I can't wake you up. I'm gonna barricade this door. So, but he survives for like weeks, like on like life support, and then he wakes up. But in the show, like in the other one, Fear the Walking Dead, they like know it's like days and days and days, and they like live in their house, and then all of a sudden the electricity goes out, and like all of a sudden the police stop showing up. But it's like a slow burn. And I think in that case, there might be like, you feel like you have to keep going because you're like, oh, it's just over this hill. It's just over this hill, you know? Oh, society, like, oh, everything's gonna be fine tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, you have to convince yourself of that. But I think if I'm Rick and I wake up in a hospital bed and I have a beard and long hair, and I'm like, you know, malnourished, there's nothing I'm doing, man.
See,
I can't do it. But he's a cop, so
you just talking about like watching it for weeks ahead of time. That just, I don't know about y'all, but really started making me think about coronavirus because, man, we saw it for a couple days. Yeah, we heard about it in December, and it didn't really hit us here until March. Yeah. And I mean, I remembered, I've told you guys about how I was in the Vegas for the Pac-12 tourney when everything like really went downhill. And I remember like researching ahead of time. I was like, coronavirus, Vegas. And I think there were like 3 cases at the time in Vegas.
We were vibing, dog. We didn't even know.
Dude, it was no big deal. And
February 2020 was lit.
Yeah,
so
I remember that. I was
It's
in
our
Vegas.
year.
Yes.
In
One of my
February was,
last
yeah,
memories
that was
is
sweet.
getting nasty at a club at the end of
yeah.
February. And it was amazing. But then, yeah, just a couple weeks later, you're slowly hearing about this thing. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's going to hit us eventually, but it can't be that big of a thing, right?
I guess that would probably be how it is.
Yeah.
But then if it's like people are turning into flesh-eating monsters and like eating your neighbors, it's a little bit different than like a virus that has like, you know, a relatively low death rate, and it's like the only thing is that it's super contagious, you know what I mean? So it's like that's the difference versus there's a virus, and if this thing bites you, you immediately turn into a monster and you eat your kids. It's a little different, but the feeling of like that impending doom is kind of similar. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't really.
What was the last thing? When was the last time y'all went out before Corona?
It was working, bro.
Vegas.
I was working.
What do you mean, like in general, or like
No, like
to a
last
different
time
city?
you like went like did something fun.
Well, I guess
Not just like
before
out and about, but like the last time you like.
I probably went to like Disneyland, or no, in like January or something.
For me, it was that one time at the club. It's called Playground down in Tucson, where I went to school. So that is technically the last time before coronavirus. But then in the early days in March, when it started hitting us and stuff started shutting down in March, not all the casinos didn't completely shut down yet. So there was like a night where I was in a club with several thousand people. Yeah. And then I think it was the next day, everything shut down. But I mean, like we already knew that the coronavirus, and they already canceled school. They already canceled the tournament and everything, but the casinos were still open for like another day.
That was in March for you?
Yeah, that was mid-March.
Gotcha.
Whenever, shoot, I can look up.
It wasn't that crazy for me. I was in February, in mid-February, I was in New York, like upstate New York in New York City. And then like 2 weeks later, I came back and people were like starting to get sick and everything. And then 2 weeks after that, everything closed. But it wasn't that crazy.
Because I went sick in December. I went and visited Austin and Vlad when I either it was right before or right after I had like the flu. Well, I thought it was the flu. It very well could have been.
Oh, that happened to a lot of us. That happened to you, Austin, didn't it? Because that happened to me too.
Dude, yeah, my whole store, everybody that works at my
January that happened, where I was randomly sick out of nowhere after like a year plus of not being sick.
I was sick for like a week too. It was like a week and a half, like 10 days. But then I got actual coronavirus, so I don't know. I don't know if I had it before and then got it again, but I had it, last month. But I was in February. I went to Disneyland and it was lit. Went to Black Spire Outpost. It was sick. Star Wars.
Did I ever tell y'all about the time that I lost my sense of smell all of a sudden?
Do you hit the back of the head?
No, I all of a sudden just lost my sense of smell for like a really long time. Maybe like probably 6 months or something. Like it was an uncomfortably long amount of time. And
6 months.
Yeah, it was so long, dude.
You didn't get it like checked out or anything?
I mean, I did, but like everybody was saying, "Oh, I think you just have like a flu or something." Even though I'm like always a really healthy guy, and I didn't ever feel sick, I just couldn't smell for a very long time. And my girlfriend at the time, she'd always be looking at me like giving me shit. I mean, she would also fart around me all the time, which I didn't appreciate. Once I learned that, she was taking advantage of
what?
A noseless man.
What?
Yeah, she was.
Wait, run that back.
Couldn't smell, so she was.
You say she was farting around you all the time?
Girls don't fart, dude.
Anyways,
a fart is always sexy. You feel me?
So I didn't have my sense of smell for a ridiculously long amount of time. But then one day, my girlfriend and I, we were walking around after some event downtown, and we're walking home, and we pass somebody who's smoking a cigarette, and I just go, "Ugh, the cigarette smells like shit." And then I go, "That cigarette smells like shit." Yeah, it finally hit me again.
You run up and you inhale the
smoke. You go and high five.
It smells awful.
I grabbed a cigarette and put it on my nose, like, oh, I was
the whole
so
thing through your
happy.
nostril.
Yeah, I was so happy to finally smell again. Oh, it stinks.
I knew you were gonna do that. I knew you were gonna say that. I was withholding from doing it myself.
Yeah, no, it was the weirdest thing ever, like not smelling stuff. But I mean, that was one thing that I did.
Did your taste get affected by it at all? I feel like I would treat that like a superpower and I'd be doing all sorts of crazy shit.
No, man, my
I've
taste
thought
was
about that.
fine.
Because as y'all know, I am an extremely picky eater, and I have said if I got corona, I would eat so much stuff because I couldn't taste anything. I would just
maybe you'd fall in love with stuff too, but you never maybe the texture you would fall in love with or something.
I was gonna say maybe I'll really like the texture, and then I eat it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the worst thing I've ever had.
So here's a question then about losing your sense of taste. I guess is I'm really into hot sauces, and I have the Last Dab, which is like their super spicy one from Hot Ones, and I mean you would still feel the effects of spice, right? What do you think?
The way your tongue translates heat and flavor to your brain is like a sensation. It's almost like your brain thinks your tongue is on fire when it's hot. It doesn't think, oh, spicy is different than heat. It literally treats it like heat.
So it's not, it's not a flavor thing. It's a reaction.
It's not. So it's literally same thing with mint and stuff. It's that's why it feels cold. I mean, menthol has a cooling effect actually, but your tongue, the receptors on your tongue talk to your brain as if it's your tongue is on fire. This is actual heat. And so I don't know. I actually have no idea. I know when Chevelle lost her sense of taste, she said spicy stuff wasn't as spicy, or when she lost her sense of smell, I actually lost a little bit of her taste. Just spicy stuff wasn't as spicy, but I don't know. I guess we could try that out.
Yeah, because I'm curious if it's
on
more
who?
of a,
How?
Isn't there a little thing? Can't you buy those little berries that like make stuff not spicy?
well, that's different. I feel.
That's different than a complete loss of someone's got to get corona for the pot.
I already had it, and I didn't lose my sense of taste or smell.
Oh,
That's
I just feel like shit.
See,
That's
Yeah, just like lung problems, you know. Still, like a month later, I still can't breathe when I go up the stairs. It's sick.
that sucks, man.
Yeah, long haul trucker, dog.
Should
You
I go
had a
back?
second part.
Yeah, I
we
was
had a
gonna
second
say,
part.
should I go back to my second?
I figured that we would take a break at some point, and I was just gonna hold that until we came back from the break.
Why'd you do that?
Came back.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
Dude? What?
It's like, it's a dice
No.
roll.
Not until we come back.
But also, why does it make
Come
sense
back.
to come back after a dice roll? You're
You're
disgusting.
a fucking weirdo.
Well, also,
We're not
do we need to take a break?
Yeah, I was gonna
No, just
say,
go.
are we
Just
trying
keep
to do
going.
an intermission or what?
No, what's
the-
the second part of your question?
It's just nice to just
What's the
like,
second
be
part
like,
of your
anyone
question,
have to go to the bathroom or anything? All
I
right.
gotta go to the bathroom, but I'm not a child. I can wait. So the second part of my question was, and it sounded like Austin, you were starting to get close to this point. And the thing is like, I'm really interested into what y'all think about this because I kind of studied this stuff in some of my classes. But the question of, let's call Thanos and that event what it was, a genocide, right?
Damn,
If say there was a politician who came out and
Thanos, you're canceled.
what's that?
Thanos is
Thanos
canceled
is
for genociding
canceled.
everybody.
Thanos is canceled. I heard he said the N-word once. He's canceled. Get him out of here. Yeah. So say there was some
Or
politician.
blackface at a party in the 80s.
Yeah. So say there's.
Wait, that makes so much sense why he's after Tony Stark.
Yup.
Thanos watched Tropic Thunder and he's like,
Oh,
I'm
he's
after you.
pissed.
It makes so much sense now. Okay.
He's like,
Griffin.
So say there's a politician who comes up with this Thanos policies and he's like, cool, we need to kill half of the universe or half of the humans
his
on Earth, right?
policies.
Well, then the question is, how do you write the laws about how to legally decide who to kill and who not to kill?
You genuinely can't do it.
We're
any
involving
more
a
way.
legal system?
I was gonna
Well,
say,
I mean,
how
if
else are you
there's a
supposed to do it?
politician that does it, then it needs to
If
be legal.
if in some crazy universe this happens, it's like the purge. Like the purge would never happen. But
How
that
did
could never
Hitler do
legally
it?
pass.
I don't know.
Well,
Didn't
he
he
looked
kill
at a
half the
specific
population?
group of people.
Yeah.
But that's
is
the
that what
thing,
you're
is-
suggesting, Tanner? A specific group of people?
Whoa.
Remember, buddy, you work in Hollywood.
Whoa. No.
Wait, how
I
do
didn't
we-
say.
But if
I
I
didn't say
was gonna say a certain type of people,
No,
it'd be people who
anyways.
don't use turn signals.
Okay,
There you
I'll
go.
get behind that.
Make it a thing that they've earned their right to be on that.
Yeah.
Like the question is basically like, I mean, because that's the way that the law works at the end of the day.
This is
I
just
mean,
eugenics
here's
with
the
extra
thing.
steps,
Here's
man.
the thing. What were you gonna say?
No,
This is just
Austin was
eugenics
right.
with extra steps.
Yeah, it literally.
You know, it's like
yeah.
a whole like breed out all the people who are undesirable, and it's like it's just gonna happen where it's just brown, black, disabled, you know, LGBTQ people. That's what's gonna happen if that ever happened, because it's like that's why they're protected groups, because they get taken advantage of, and so it's like, oh, kill the elderly, kill, you know, people who are. I'm not saying they're undesirable. I'm saying
Allegedly.
that these type of people that would do this kind of shit would call them undesirable. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
I
if you
think they're
about
great.
it. I think it also, the stones more or less could just be, if we're thinking of like real terms of like money, in
Yeah.
that the stones unlock unlimited power. We're like, I don't think it would be a legal system way. I think it would be if
It would be taken. The power would be taken from.
It would be a very rich person. I will not say a name, but it will be a very rich person who will just send like fucking drones out or something. Like they won't go through steps. They'll like look at people, be like, okay, we're just gonna take half of them out, send out their little army or whatever, and that's
Well,
it. That's
so
it.
then
I
this
don't-
plays into the thing in Winter Soldier more than Thanos. That's what they were trying to do in the Winter Soldier.
yeah.
Like Alexander Pearson, like Hydra, were literally trying to target people who were via actions
to
that were
themselves.
like recorded more than likely to become criminals. So they were judging people by their past to determine their future, and
Mhm.
therefore targeting them as threats.
Yeah,
That's
Patriot
literally
Act,
what they
Daddy.
did in.
What's the
in
thing?
The Winter Soldier.
They tried on a small scale and failed. Thanos did it and succeeded on a large scale.
So the difference with that though is that they were using discrimination and targeting, and Thanos was doing it unbiasedly. Like that's the whole different. Like that's the biggest difference about Thanos.
Okay. So there's this video I watched by this YouTube page called The Cut, and they had got 7 millennials.
Shout out The Cut.
And they got 7 millennials, and they were like, you guys have to decide who gets this $1,000, and if nobody can decide, nobody gets it, right? And the episode previous to this one, Cody Cope actually did like a reaction to this, and the episode before this one was high schoolers, right? And of course the high schoolers are smarter than the millennials because, you know, Gen Z young people are very smart. I'm a millennial, I can say that, but the millennials were like trying to like get these sob stories, and the high schoolers were just like, there's no moral way to do it. Play rock, paper, scissors. Like have a handstand contest. Like you can't, because you there's no moral way to do it, because everybody's issues or problems or whatever are just as valid as everybody else's, regardless of how big you think they are. And so it's like they voted the white guy off first, which, you know, would of course happen.
I would do
but it's
same.
like but it's like his thing was like he was a counselor at a summer, what's it called, a getaway
Summer
thing
camp?
What's it called? Summer camp. Oh man, I'm getting old. He was a counselor at a summer camp for kids whose parents have cancer and have died of cancer. And how did he get voted out first? How? One of the girls there was like, oh, I need money because I can't sublet my apartment during a pandemic. And it's like, duh, you go first. Too bad you have an expensive apartment that sucks, but like this guy's trying to help kids, man. So it's just like, you know, there's no moral way to do it regardless, because you can't decide whose problems are worse than others or like who deserves it more. And that's because that's how you get, you know, the Elysium thing where it's like only rich people get to go to this place where they have these beds that cure cancer and like it's perfect up there, and they keep us down here by literally killing us. Like how that's the way we're going in the future. Like definitely that, because that's the whole thing. It's like, oh, we're running out of room, people are gonna go to Mars. Imagine what Mars is gonna be like. If you can afford to go to Mars, they're gonna have so many things that people here need that they don't have access to, because it's just gonna be billionaires on Mars.
So here's another thought. When you were bringing up Elysium earlier, I was thinking to myself, I mean, one thing that's like the nature, you always hear the whole idea of history repeating itself. And I mean, frankly, the nature of capitalism that's talked about all the time is like exploitation and just running things into the dirt until there's nothing left, right? If there is an Elysium and you have a bunch of hypothetical Beth Bezoses on some like floating fortress in the sky, do you think that they're going to create their own Earth on there again, where they accidentally? Well, no, I'm saying, like, do you think they're going to accidentally just really screw everything up again by? I mean, just keep all the production.
Once they finish raping Earth, which will be, you know,
it's human nature.
Well,
like it's literally inevitable.
Half these people aren't being like held accountable for the shit that they're.
And that's what I was saying about the whole
now.
like,
so they don't even know. Half these people don't even know or have the slightest idea what they're actually doing, which is the craziest part of it all.
Well, you know what's the worst part is that they do know what they're doing and they don't care.
Oh yeah,
they're like, oh, you're destroying the Arctic, the ice is melting, the Great Barrier Reef is dying,
because
like,
they're unaffected.
Gotta make money, dog,
because they're unaffected. They don't give a shit.
And once it affects them, they're just gonna leave the planet. And so they'll never be held accountable. So it's the same. I mean, that this has nothing to do with Thanos, because again, so the way Thanos did it is the only moral way to do it, is by it's completely random. Boom. That's the only way, because like once you get into like picking and choosing, you know, you're left with like everybody's biases are going to come out.
So with that being said, going back more or less to Griffin's original question, do you think that there could ever be a real life,
you know, what's crazy is
situation?
The possibility
we can't put it on one person, really.
Well, okay, so the possibility
more like
there,
a movement.
But it just depends of when. Like the possibility is totally there, and it always will be. But the question is, like, will it happen during our lifetime? Personally, I'd say I doubt it. You know, would it happen eventually?
You feel like you're standing at the end of the world?
But you know what's crazy is that like they always say that about like they, you know, how they conflate Hitler to like current politics, and it's like the way he gained power was fully legal. He like went the legal path, and it was super easy for him to do it, because he just was. All he had to do was convince the right group of people who are just barely. Our brains are turned a certain way, and then boom, 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 and then it's a domino effect. And like we see it with the way that Americans are like radicalized and like brainwashed. It's like it's so easy because you just convince us like, oh, if you don't do this, you're not a patriot. And then it's like, oh, I'm a patriot. Oh, you don't want to get your country back, kick the brown people out. And if you don't do that, you're not a patriot. Oh, I'm a patriot, I want to do that. And so as crazy as it is to think that this couldn't happen during our lifetime, if people
I just don't think it would.
let it could. Yeah, I don't think it would. I don't
absolutely
think
could. The possibility is always there, but the issue is that begs a bigger question of what would come first: a real life Thanos or the actual inevitable end of the human race as we know it in our own snippet of what is existence. Yeah. And it's an impossible tell.
I think by the time we've gotten desperate enough to be like we need to kill half of the people, it'll be too late, because the way humans are, like, we're pack animals. It's like regardless if you hate somebody or not, or if you feel like their existence is weighing you down, if it comes to the point where it's like we are so low on resources that we need to kill half the people, it's good. There's gonna be so few of us that it's like we're not gonna be able to do it. We're too wired to like care about an individual. If they're right there in front of you, if they said we have to kill half the people, you need to shoot that guy in the head, you're not gonna be able to do it. I mean, some people could, but most people wouldn't be able to.
And I mean, maybe this is very tangential. It probably is very tangential, and I'm off of one beer. I'm buzzing. But I mean, that's something I think is like really interesting about just government in general. And hey, frankly, this touches a little bit on Marxist theory. But I mean, to skip to the end point of the Communist Manifesto, is Karl Marx basically just says that no government's going to work because you're putting laws, which is inherently something based on logic, on something that's illogical. Like the fact that life exists on this planet is incredibly we know of how many planets, how many solar systems, and we haven't found life once. The odds of any kind of life existing, let alone intelligent, is so ridiculously small. Why try to put something logical on something illogical, right? And I bring this up to say, I think that so many of our hardships worldwide, but I mean, it's really coming to a head in this country, especially with regards to our coronavirus response or lack thereof, is the fact that a government is established basically with the intention. I mean, what does our Constitution say? By the people, for the people, or whatever. It's a government's whole idea is to protect all of the rights and life of all the people that reside within this artificial wall, the borders of the country. But at the same time, we don't actually stick to that, because if any country did really care about the life of all of the people that live inside of it, then America would have an absolute complete shutdown. They would be giving us, I mean, look at how places like Australia and New Zealand have handled their coronavirus, right? Where they shut everything down, they pay people to stay home, and they really heavily prosecute the people who go out and screw around. The problem is that you have all of these politicians who are saying, yo, we care about you. We're going to make sure you're okay. And now we have however many hundreds of thousands of people dead because they don't actually, what I mean? Yeah. Just the massive cognitive dissonance of it all. I think that's the biggest problem, and why there's so many bubbling spirits of anger. Because I mean, now you have people on the left who have been decrying how terrible our government is with regards to like Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff. But people on the right who are decrying politicians because they think the election was rigged and all that kind of stuff. The only thing that's unified us as of late is that we hate the government, right? And I mean, I guess, I don't know, that could simply go back to the fact that the government is failing on all fronts. I don't know. I kind of lost myself at the end there, but
remember what I said? It's like that stupid meme where it's like the black dude and the white guy, and he has like the Confederate flag. Like that's legitimately what they're afraid of, and that's why they continue to keep us. They make us divide ourselves, and it's like that meme is stupid and it's silly, but it's also true. And that it's like if we teamed up with if every of all the poor people locked arms, us style, and wrapped around the planet, it's like, what are they gonna do? Like
nothing, man.
It's like you can't. So it's like that's why they keep us down.
Yeah,
they put fluoride in our water to calcify our pituitary gland, or what's it called?
Third eye. Open your third eye. I'm not gonna lie. This dove way more political than I was expecting this.
No, it's okay, dog.
Well, that ties into like the biggest hurdle of the locking arms method is the fact that you need to get people to do it.
Yeah.
And that's always the biggest hurdle that I always.
And they've divided us for hundreds of years.
Because it's that like lyric in Hamilton where he's like, Hamilton's talking to Washington and he's like, we need to broaden our strokes or whatever. And Washington's like, no, you need to convince more folks.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's always, I don't know, I always bring that up in a lot of things, like going way back to the global warming thing or recycling or pollution. Like there's always the conversation of making your own contribution, right? And if you believe in it, do it.
Personal
but then
responsibility.
There's it's pessimism, but it's also the realism of it, that it's going to be impossible to solve it. And every little bit counts, but there's too many people that won't do it and too many people that won't believe in it. And that's the problem and the biggest hurdle of solving things like that, whether it be government too. Like arguably everything that we know is because of the own institutions that we've, created over the years. So if it were to vanish, like next week, let's say all governments fall, it'd be in like total chaos. And yeah, everything would sort itself out eventually. We're survivors. That's human, like the human race to a T. Like that's the whole purpose, selfish and like survivalism. But everything is created and that's kind of like the norm of it. And so I think as much as there's issues, a lot of them, I don't know, there's a lot of like light that comes out of that stuff too. Like a lot of the good things that we know are because of the bad things that we know, and that plays into the whole peace thing. Like if there was
you get to see what like true human nature is through like terrible shit.
I don't know, people always talk about like peace, and I always bring up a very like poetry version of it where it's like, well, like there is no peace without war. Like if there was world peace, or if we solved world hunger, I guess world hunger is a different topic, but if we ever like had world peace, it wouldn't be peace because there wouldn't be war. And peace is only peace because there is war. And that plays into the duality thing that we talked about way back. Like you need both sides to it. It's just a matter of moderation, as everything is. But there has to be a duality of it. Like there is a yin and a yang, there's tween law, like Avatar reference. Like there has to be that's
Anakin and Darth Vader.
But that's a
balance.
But that's a perfect like reference, Avatar: The Last Airbender. There has to be the two koi fish. There has to be a perfect flow of them swimming around each other. Otherwise, everything goes dark.
What do y'all think is the greatest song ever made?
Oh wait, are we back?
See, that's hard, right?
What?
Yeah, we're back.
But
We're
like
back, baby.
sonically, no, like of all the things, like all through like every category, just think about like what
there's no way to judge it objectively though.
No, we're talking subjectively.
Right, but then that's gonna be, I don't know.
No,
like, what do you think is the best song?
What do you think is the greatest song ever made?
Man, I think I'd have to have 5. Could I have a Mount Rushmore 4?
Okay, what's your Mount Rushmore of greatest songs ever created?
Your Mount Rush 4?
It just plays into what are your 4 favorite songs.
That's exactly what it is.
You know what I mean?
So my first song was Frontin' by Jay-Z featuring Pharrell, or if it's Pharrell Williams featuring Jay-Z, don't get that mixed up. I'd have to say, now I'm going to throw a curveball here because you guys are going to think I'm going to say Africa by Toto. But it's Hold the Line.
Hold the Line. Hold the Line's a better song.
Oh wow.
So much better, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Hold the Line's way better.
That song rules.
We've had this talk.
And
before.
then I'd have to go with Click by Good Music. That song is ridiculous. Click. Go back and listen to Click and just
I know it's a good song. It's a good song. I just wouldn't put it on my Mount Rushmore.
The quality of the raps in that song are insane. If it wasn't that, it would. That's Good Music. That's like Kanye.
Oh, it's Kanye,
Big Sean,
Big Sean.
I don't know that one.
Pusha T.
And then like Pretty Young Thing, or like Rock With You by Michael Jackson.
That's a good song. See, for me, the reason I didn't know what you were talking about, Austin, when you said Click, is because I was thinking Click like like on a mouse.
Like Click, the greatest movie ever made. Click.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's why I was confused. See, I don't know how to answer that question, Tanner. And that's because I'm a nerdy piece of crap where I don't seek out songs. Like I don't make playlists anymore. The only time I listen to music is if I'm listening to an entire album.
Yeah, that's how I am too.
I'm an
I
album
listen to
consumer.
entire albums.
Yeah, I don't, to the point
Playlist
where
generation,
I
dude.
almost never listen to singles when they release either, because I want to hear them in the full album. So I don't know, but my attempt to answer your question in a kind of different way is I think there's a special place for like really good instrumentals in the world, because like I'm gonna use EDM as an example. I used to like EDM, and then I grew up, my balls dropped, and I hate that genre more than anything. Yeah.
Get the beam.
But I mean, one thing I'll maintain about EDM is the ability for a genre that is basically entirely lyricless to have it still be able to like create a journey in your mind and be able to like take you to certain places. That is something that's really skillful. Because EDM is a mostly lyricless genre. That's the reason I'm bringing it up. But I also listen to, I always talk to you guys about the Ninth Wonder beat tapes, the Zion albums. He's able to take you to crazy places on just 1 minute long beats. Or Jay Dilla's Donuts, where half of them are only like 37 seconds long. I mean, I can't necessarily answer your question of like the best song ever, but I think that if you have an instrumental that's able to take you to one of those higher planes and open your chakras, then that's better than damn near any song.
Have you ever like taken time to listen to like a lot of jazz, like long form jazz music?
I can't get into jazz that much.
Like Coltrane.
Yeah, I was gonna
like,
say Coltrane, Duke Ellington.
The closest thing to that I can get, and I guess you could consider a lot of his stuff jazz, is Gil Scott-Heron is one of my favorite artists of all time. The main songs that he's known for are, first off, Home is Where the Hatred Is, but also the poems, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised,
Who Will
Survive in America.
Who Will Survive in America.
Yeah, those are his big three. Musically, that dude's a genius when he's not doing his poet stuff, and he has like a band that's with him that I don't remember their name off the top of my head. I think Blue's in their name, but for the most part, I can't really do jazz. It's just not my vibe that much.
That's interesting because a lot of the rap and the beats that you listen to are like definitely
jazz.
You know what it comes down to,
jazz
though?
percussion for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Jazz. I mean, It Ain't Hard to Tell by Nas. That's like a perfect song, damn near. I love that song so much, and it is just filled with trumpets yelling at you. But
wait, what song?
I think It Ain't Hard to Tell by Nas, but you don't like Nas, so.
Hey, whoa!
Don't put that out there.
You don't. You said that.
I'm not
you
trying to get shot. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. But no,
I just don't listen. Hey, I just don't listen to Nas on the regular.
That's what
I appreciate and I respect the man.
Okay. My thing is, I think what it mostly comes down to is, I like a good old kick and a snare that you hear in rap music, you know? So I listen to a lot of heavy jazz soul samples. Yeah, the boom bap. I listen to a lot of stuff that has the heavy jazz samples to it. But a lot of times I listen to the jazz and I can hear what's going on there and I can appreciate it. But I don't know. I need the heavy
like
drum.
Alfredo, jazz album.
Oh, amazing.
Jazz album.
I don't know about jazz album.
It's
a jazz rooted album.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what's a jazz rooted album is Pieces of a Man by what's his name? Mick Jenkins, and it's actually named after Pieces of a Man by Gil Scott-Heron, and the whole album is Mick just doing his best Gil Scott impersonation, and that album's pretty jazzy. It's pretty cool.
Griffin, do you, and this isn't me coming for you, or it is, I feel like I've asked you this before, but do you listen to anything not hip hop and or rap?
All the time. Yeah, I thought I've talked about that. I listen to country.
I was gonna say we talked about country with him.
Hell yeah, dog.
No, I mean, I think that I don't think there's a better genre than hip hop out there. And I think that hip hop can do absolutely everything you need it to whenever you want to. If you want to cry, you can have some really sad jazz. If you want to assault somebody, there's plenty of that kind of stuff. Like my favorite form of every rapper, no matter how hard or soft they are, is their songs dedicated to their moms. All of those songs are the best songs that you will ever hear in the world. I think that there's nothing that's better than hip hop. That being said, I still listen to damn near everything else that there is. I said, hell, you'll even catch me listening to metal some days, brother.
Slipknot, bro.
Yeah, Slipknot's cool as hell.
Dude, Sulfur by Slipknot.
The thing is I don't have as much of a vocab to describe a lot of other genres as I do with hip hop, but that doesn't mean I don't love them.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Vlad?
Yeah, I don't know all the subgenres of metal. It's like thrash metal, crash metal, sludge metal. And I'm like, sludge metal rules. I know that, but I don't know shit about
sludge metal.
I love garage rock.
Sludge metal.
Sludge metal's like slow, like grimy. Like
there's
really,
so many
really...
subgenres of metal. It's insane.
So like, think about like if you had like a pedal for your guitar that made it like slow down to like 0.8%. So like you wouldn't get that smooth. It wouldn't be smooth. The note would be like. And it's like the whole song. Yeah, dude, sludge metal rules. Anyways, Vlad, go ahead.
No, I can't.
Vlad, what are your
I literally can't answer that question. Like, at least not for songs.
So let's talk about maybe who you are right now, like in your life today. What
would you say is like the best songs?
Well, I mean, my favorite song is Hotel California, and that's been my favorite song since I was like a little kid. That's like my mom's song. That's like my song with her. I mean, that right there is the Hotel California vinyl framed. I love the album too. I love Eagles in general. And their music like resonates with me for the reason of I just grew up listening to them all the time. And there's like a certain like level of bliss that their music brings me. I mean, there's some songs that they make like Witchy Woman off their second album or Victim of Love off of Hotel California. That like, those are more like proper rock songs. They're not necessarily like the small ballady songs. They have I think it was their third album, Desperado. That album is like as country as they get. But for me, I love albums more than like actual songs. If I ever listen to a song, I usually am listening to the album itself. So my favorite album, I would arguably say my favorite album as of right now is like from start to finish. I just listened to it and it's been for a while, is Awaken My Love. But when I listen to a song off of Awaken My Love, I don't just throw on Redbone or like throw on Terrified. I usually, even if I do start with that, if I'm like, man, I'm in like a zombies mood, I'll throw on that song and then I'll keep listening past it till wherever I get. That's a thing that I do with the Hamilton soundtrack. Like if I throw on my phone on shuffle for some reason, instead of pick an album that fits my like current mood, and a song off of the musical Hamilton comes on, I flip to the Hamilton album and I'll keep listening from that song on until I get to wherever I go.
So if like I or anyone, but I send you songs all the time. If I send you a song, do you go back? Do you like save it and then go listen to the full album, or do you just listen to?
No, I'll listen to just that song, but sometimes the song hits me in such a way that I'll download that album. Go through. And sometimes that album hits me in such a way that I then go and like search that actual artist's like audiography. And that's how I've come to like across other artists. Like there's a group called Feng Suave. There's another group called City Park. Like they're just two examples of more alt style music. Alt J is a great example.
Can I ask, and we don't have to keep this in the pod, where did you get the term audiography? That sounds so interesting to me.
I was thinking in this moment, like the way that my brain worked is I was like, okay, I know that I'm moving towards mentioning an artist's work, their body of work. And I was like, and so I thought of discography, which I guess could have been what I could have used that word instead. But I basically was like, okay, I want to talk about a musician's discography or filmography. But I don't want to use either of those words. And so I was like, well, audiography sounds like that could work. So then I just said it and then I kept talking and then that was it. And you can keep that in the it
threw me so off, but I was like, yo, that's a slick word. If it's not a real word, Vlad just coined it.
You know, it may not be a real word, and that's fine. But audiography,
I do have 3 songs that I
writing
just
sound. Well, no, I guess audiography.
Yeah, it's something about Indian filmmaking.
It's an Indian style of filmmaking.
Let's talk about Indian filmmaking, not to like take it
please
away.
No,
that shit rules.
Dude, the hard cuts and like the where they like go like
dude,
Bollywood cuts over and over again.
Are brilliant, dude. Brilliant.
But yeah, just to close off the thing, I highly cherish like albums as a whole. So I guess if I had to do my Mount Rushmore of albums, because I would pick albums as opposed in no particular order, I would do Awaken My Love as in like right now in this very moment.
Mhm.
I would do Awaken My Love, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Random Access Memories. So in that order, Childish
dude.
Gambino, Kanye West, at Random Access Memories is Daft Punk.
Daft Punk.
And right now, I honestly want to throw the Weeknd's After Hours Deluxe out there because I'm really feeling that as like the album of last year. But there's so many, man. I can go through this. Like I'm on my phone right now looking at my playlist because I use Apple Music, so it's a little different. And I have like playlists saved as their own thing. So whenever I'm like, oh, I'm in an Alt J, an Awesome Wave mood, I go on an Awesome Wave. Or like, man, I'm gonna throw it back to high school me and AC/DC's Back in Black. Let's go listen to that right now.
That's
You know,
Vlad
Dude,
went to high school in the 70s.
I don't know.
There's
There's a lot of great albums that I think tell like an unabridged story. Some of them tell stories. I'd argue My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy tells a story. There's a reason one of the first things you hear is Can We Get Much Higher? And there's a reason one of the last things you hear is Applause. Like it's a very meta album.
Vlad, have you seen Runaway?
The 20-minute film?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, no,
Dude,
Kanye released
God.
a 20-minute short film with the album.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. It's obviously not the whole album, but
It's just
parts.
Runaway. I think it's just Runaway and then like Blame Game.
Featuring
Dark
Pusha
Fantasy.
T.
It starts with dark fantasy.
Oh yeah, because of the asteroid.
Honestly, it has.
You might think you peeped the scene, you haven't.
Oh God, that's Nicki Minaj. That took me so long
rules.
to figure that out. That was Nicki Minaj.
Oh, I could recognize her voice right away.
No, but
her
it's
verse on
like-
Monster is one of my favorite rap verses ever.
Oh yeah, it's one of
I know
the,
I'm a white dude. And
no,
everything,
it's
but-
no, you're right.
No,
though.
that's a good verse.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
No, but it's like I think it takes like 20 or 30 seconds from each song. Like it's
I'll check it out.
an album.
it's really good.
Do you
I didn't
know
know
what
about
I've
that.
always wanted to see, which I've never seen, and I don't think anyone has? Kanye made a film to go along with, I want to say it was Cruel Summer, and it starred Kid Cudi.
Hell yeah.
And it like took place, like
Is he just
Kanye
humming?
released it. He did it at, I want to say it was Sundance. It was either Sundance or Cannes, but it was like in a specific theater that was shaped like a pyramid. And it was like all four sides of the like screen showed. Like it was this super like intense like visual experience, but he premiered it. People fucking loved it. And
And then
then
it just disappeared.
So that's the thing that he's
That
been
sounds
doing
like
for a
Kanye.
minute then. Because he did that with Jesus is King. He had like a movie to go with it.
yeah, I never saw it.
I thought you did.
No, I was planning to, and then just the arc light. I didn't want to go to that.
Have you guys seen
That's Awaken My Love.
that music video? The Kid Cudi Cage song. I forget the name of it.
Maniac?
Maniac. Have you seen
Directed
the
by
music video?
Shia
Shia
LaBeouf.
LaBeouf. Have you seen that music video,
Yep.
Vlad?
No. I used to
Dude.
watch the Day and Night music video for some reason on loop when I was a
Dude,
kid.
Maniac
but-
is insane. It's
It's
basically
It's
like a short film.
insane. It's so good. I won't talk about it because I want you to watch it.
I'll
But
check it
Griffin,
out.
you said you had three songs.
Yeah, no, I don't know if these are like my greatest of all time songs, but three
Or maybe
songs
right
that-
now.
Yeah, well, not even necessarily right now because I haven't listened to any of them in a very long time. But three songs that are just absolutely insane now that I'm thinking about it.
Goated.
A Horse with No Name by America, Freebird, and Dreamer by Anderson Paak. Those songs are absolute heat in my opinion, and damn near perfect. I wouldn't necessarily count them as my Mount Rushmores. I probably would with Dreamer, but you guys don't know A Horse with No Name?
Mm-mm.
No, the name.
Oh.
I've heard you say the name before, but
I've heard the
That
name of the
song
song. I can't recall it off
is-
the top of my head.
Absolutely insane. It's very similar to Freebird in the fact that it's like kind of like a 70s rock ballad, and I'm gonna send it to the
Dude.
chat right now.
Another song that's creeping up my list is "The Waters" by Anderson Paak, featuring
Yeah.
BJ the Chicago Kid.
And he got
So,
a lot
like,
of bangers.
I was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. That song came out like 4 or 5 years ago, right?
was
5
that's
years
Malibu,
because
right?
that's Malibu.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 years ago, I was thinking I could make music. I have a decent singing voice. I have friends who are really good at music. I could collab with Tanner. Griffin's really good at write. He can write. And I was like, we could figure this out. Obviously, we didn't know you 3 or 4 years ago, Griffin, but just, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I heard that song, and music is supposed to have the opposite effect on you where it makes you want to make music. I heard that and I was like, oh, I'll never make anything as good as this. I'm never gonna make music.
Oh, that's
It's
me all the
such-
time.
It's such a good song, dude. It's just like every time I listen to it, it blows me away. Like it's the first time I've heard it, and I'm just like, oh no, I'm good.
Do you know what does that? Actually, same album, The Bird by Anderson .Paak.
The Bird's
That
also
guitar,
great.
every time that guitar starts, I'm like, I can never make this.
Okay,
I can
but
never
not
make
only
this.
that, and another one off the
Yeah.
same goddamn album is The Seasons Carry Me. The first half with the just absolutely ridiculous Ninth Wonder beat, and then the
Welcome
second
to the
half
Anderson
totally
.Paak
switching
fan
it
cast.
up.
I was gonna say, Anderson .Paak just
is amazing, man. And another Anderson .Paak song I absolutely love so much. This is my second favorite song by him after Dreamer is Trippy with J. Cole. I'm a J. Cole fan.
But you didn't like that album.
Whatever. I did not like that album. You're
What album is
correct.
that off of?
But I love that song. That's off
Oxnard?
of Oxnard.
I
Okay.
love that album. That was a
Here's the
great
thing.
album.
That's an album that I ended up coming around to because the way I look at it, and I mean, frankly, he's been pretty open about that. If I'm not mistaken, allegedly,
It's a Dre album featuring Paak.
It's a Dre album, exactly. I wanted soulful Anderson through and through because it's been years since he released anything.
I hate that they tried to force him to rap.
Exactly.
He can rap, but don't force it.
It's better than what most rappers will ever put out.
But then you like Ventura more.
I do like Ventura more. I mean, that being said, I still don't like it anywhere near as much as I do Malibu, which is just flawless.
Malibu's front to
I will say
back.
I loved Oxnard off the jump because it is a very cinematic album. Like it feels like a movie put on a soundtrack.
Yeah,
and I think that's what he was
70s.
going.
Yeah,
dude, it literally starts with like a cold open. Like there's a scene at the beginning of the album, and then it goes into this just like weird story. Like that's where it got me. Like the first time I heard it, I like literally every song I was like, I can see this like opening a movie, or I can see this as a
yeah.
That's where like the album took me. But then Ventura was soulful as fuck. That whole album is a vibe.
Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah. Yeah, no, so I don't like Oxnard much, but part of the reason I love Trippy so much is, I mean, I think it has just a very perfectly meticulously crafted production to it. And I mean, you guys know that I'll sit for J. Cole to the ends of the earth, and his verse on that album, on that specific song, I mean, that's damn near his song in my book, and he just absolutely slaughters it for however many bars. So
well, that's like literally any song featuring Young Thug is featuring.
It's a Young Thug song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without it, Maria on
Dude,
drums
that's like Sean
by Travis
Paul.
Scott.
I know this is completely left wing. What you guys are talking about?
what?
Yeah, I've noticed that Sean Paul's songs aren't as good as songs that Sean Paul's featured on.
Oh no, he's a feature artist.
You want to know who's the ultimate feature artist in my opinion?
Ty Dolla $ign. Ty Dolla $ign.
Ty Dolla $ign's really high up there, but I think Ty still has decent solo work. I think Ab-Soul.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, because every time I hear, I've tried listening to some of his albums, and every time I do, I want to throw my head through a window pane. But every time I hear a feature and you just hear in the background, it's just so hyped.
He like fits the black hippie, like the black hippie term. It's like it doesn't fit like any of the other rappers. Like they're like, oh, we're black hippie. This is a group. Like it doesn't fit you guys. It fits Ab-Soul only. Like he's a black hippie. So when he gets on, I think he really gets on tracks where he's like doesn't have to like put it on an album. He just goes nuts. Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's like I think like 2014 through 2016 Drake. I feel like his features fucking great. All of his actual stuff.
I can say that for all of Drake's music. That's how I feel. Like anything that's just Drake on a song, I don't like. I can't think of it.
Scorpion.
I can't think of any song that just has Drake on it that I'm a huge fan of. Like I like when he's featured or he has people on that feature. Because even like One Dance.
I was gonna mention One Dance, but I guess
WizKid and
you have
like so he doesn't have like any
vocalist
song
too.
that I really like from Drake. Maybe this Headline's just Drake. I think that might be.
See what Google says.
I'm like, I'll
Headlines?
wait for someone to actually
Worst
answer.
behavior.
It looks like it's just him.
So Headlines is the one Drake song I like. It's just Drake that I can think of off the top of my head. I don't know. You know, I'm not a huge Drake fan, but like I do like his music. I just but Yeah,
See,
Drake's
what-
another artist that's like huge.
What if Drake ended up becoming the real life Thanos?
I could see it. He doesn't know his. He doesn't know. where
Crazy,
he's from.
crazy stuff. Full circle, baby.
He's got. Wait, let's wait. What Infinity Stones does he? He's got Dominican.
No, not Dominican.
Black. He's got.
He's
Jewish,
Jamaican, Canadian.
Canadian.
He's got Jamaican, Canadian, Puerto Rican, not Dominican.
Puerto Rican.
I mean, also since he's Canadian, he could probably claim a little bit of French, right?
French.
Jewish too.
I
He's
guess.
Jewish.
Jewish.
He's black.
Yeah.
And black.
Black. French.
That's it.
Oh my God.
one more
Thanos. Drake has all 6 Infinity Stones.
Yeah, he has the 6 diversity stones.
He just collects people's flows and he just turns them into stones.
Yeah.
He's like, I see you, Cardi.
He's rapping like
I'm Drake Cardi. I'm Cardi. I'm Drake boy.
rapping like pop.
He's like, I like your accent.
All kinds of people at once.
I think I'm gonna take
Somebody
it.
stole it. Yeah.
That song,
Tanner-
Saturn Bars, Popcorn, featuring Gorillaz featuring the Popcorn, is such a good
Dude,
song.
Popcorn. I know one song from Popcorn.
Is it Saturn Bars? Gorillaz
No,
featuring
it's
Popcorn? Oh, okay.
it's we
Wait,
never.
Isn't that also featuring Pusha T?
Yeah,
Okay.
that song
Continue,
fucking
Vlad.
rules,
The
dude.
song I know is called "We Never Feared Them." Them being DEM.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And it's a Popcorn song.
When you
Yeah,
mentioned
we
it-
never fear Democrats.
Yeah.
No, that's not. We do fear Democrats. We fear all politics.
So I just want to go back to Vlad mentioned random access memories, and I already love like Daft Punk for me is like they're like in the pantheon of like musical people that cannot be touched. That's like because you can never say this is the best, artist of all time, right? Like
Right.
it's so hard to say that, but they're up there. They're up there with like
Ice
Frank
JJ
Sinatra.
Fish would
I miss them.
disagree with
and
you.
like they're up there with they're-
girl.
What's going on? Tanner and I were just talking about it. I think yesterday or a couple days ago
But,
about
like,
how we miss Daft Punk because they
I
haven't
was
done anything.
I was
for a
in
while.
Korea, and the apartment I stayed in had a record player that had a bunch of records, and I was like, random access memories, RAM, put that shit on, and just no matter the time of the day, no matter what mood you're in, I think you can pull something out of any song and be like, oh man, this like, and even song to song, you can pull something out of it that's like, man, this like hits me. Like that's like, there's a song, I can't think of the name of it, but like it's
Is it
the robots singing. Like,
Oh
'cause
my god, that
it's-
shit's beautiful.
it's because they always have other vocalists
I
on
think it's
their
called
songs,
oh man, I don't want to miss
and it's
it.
the robots singing, and I'm just like
I think it's
I'm
called
think-
Destiny.
talking about it right now, I'm getting chills because it's just so it's like something about like their little like sad robot voices. It reminds me of Wall-E.
No, I think
Wall-E's,
it's
like,
called
one of my favorite
Beyond.
movies.
I think
And
Beyond
it's
is
just
the
so
song.
good. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about random access memories because that just man, there's something about that. Just I have such a special place in my heart for that album.
But the song's called Within.
Within,
The one that's super slow. This.
oh, dude,
Yeah. Oh my
that
god.
should be our
that-
outro music.
It can get me. It can get me to cry. Yeah, just that super slow. I'm already.
Oh,
that's yeah.
God.
No, that's good. Yeah,
That-
Tanner, what's your Mount Rushmore?
I'll go
No.
album. I'll go album.
Oh
I'll
no.
go album. In no particular order. I will say, and I know I'm gonna get shit for it. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles.
So my thing with us crapping on Tanner for the Beatles or just not liking the Beatles, I respect what they did and I acknowledge what they did to music in general. I'm just not the biggest fan of their sound, albeit there are some Beatles songs that play and I'm just like, wow, that's like I really enjoy this and it gets you in a certain mood. But
They have incredible songwriting. They have
Yeah.
incredible.
but a big
it's-
issue
Right, put
is
some
that,
respect.
so like a big issue is I'm one of those pricks that because so many people are talking about something, and this is after I already talked about Awaken My Love and Hotel California and Rent, like and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. But like just because people are overhyping and over talking how great something is, sometimes that makes me want to experience it less. And so growing up, like just me being a kid, I would always hear about the Beatles because they're like, one of the greatest of all time on so many people's different personal lists. And I think that's why I've chosen to not like delve into their stuff. Because a great example, Sgt. Pepper's, I haven't heard all of that. I haven't heard most of it. So I guess I don't know. I still acknowledge them as
I've
this
gotten
is
to
just
an
to
age.
mention because we crap on Tanner for
I've gotten to an age where I'm starting to like it more because I'm getting like I used to be the type of person that was like, music has to have like this meaning and every single thing needs to make sense. And then I've gotten to a point where like I'm starting to appreciate music that's just made to sound a way. And I think a lot of the Beatles music, it's kind of like they didn't have a lot of material to make, right? But they wanted to keep making music, so some of it is nonsense. When I was younger, I just hated that. And
that's
now
100%
I'm starting to appreciate it more.
It might just be me, like maybe I always have, because I've always been into music, and I started playing music at a young age, so it's just kind of been in my brain and my head for a while. But like, yeah, all of their stuff, I listen to it more sonically. Little do I ever actually listen to the lyrics in a Beatles song. Truly any song.
There's some of them that are great. Like
I'm not a huge, like, that's why like I like Jesus is King when a lot of people don't, because I listen to it sonically and I'm like, yo, that's a beautiful sounding album. But yeah, if you're listening to the lyrics, it might not be like, even as a religious album, some of the lyrics are just like, what the fuck were you thinking? But just like, yeah, so that's something. But also, to be honest, I did not know the Beatles were like as big of a thing that they are until I was like 14 or 15. That was just I had like, I think it was my sister had like 2 or 3 Beatles just like CDs, and that was just what I listened to. And when I listened to it, I was like, yo, this shit's good. And I just really liked it. And then it wasn't until the Beatles went to iTunes. And I remember being like, oh shit, people like know about the Beatles. Like, I not like me on some like indie hipster shit, just genuinely was like, oh wow, like I did not realize that like the Beatles are as big as they actually are.
Like, damn, bro, all of a sudden everybody's Beatles fans.
That happened to me with Kanye. Yeah, I feel the same thing. Yeah, for Kanye, my introduction to him was a guy on like American Idol that was like one of the finalists. I'm sure this is easy to like go and Google or YouTube it up. He did a cover of Heartless. I
remember that.
But he sang it super like indie and almost reggae vibes. And this is I can't wait to get flack for this. I was just a kid, and my mom was talking about this guy performing the song, and she's like, oh yeah, it's the guy who did the Kanye song. And that's all I heard. And I had never heard his name before. So because of the style that the song was performed, I was like, oh, cool. Kanye is like a culture. Like, it's probably like, it's like, a, like, it's like Ethiopian. It's a Somali.
That makes sense,
like
actually.
Kanye song. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I wonder like where, this culture comes from. And then I was like, oh no, it's just a dude. And then that was it. And that was my introduction.
The way children's minds work, man.
I was like, oh cool, Kanye. I wonder where they're from. And then it was just a guy.
Although, like, hats off to you being like a kid, being like, I want to learn about cultures. Like,
yeah, that's sick. That's actually tight as fuck.
I was like, that song's sweet. And then I heard the original, and I was like,
it's not just like, ooh, I like that song, I want to know about that. It's like, ooh, I like that song, let me learn about the culture.
That's actually tight as hell. What the fuck was somebody breaking in your house, Tanner? I told you if somebody dies on
that legit
podcast.
sound like gunshots outside of my door.
Oh, I didn't even hear it.
So anyway,
well, there's nothing we can do. But
is that your Mount Rushmore, Tanner? Are you?
No, he's only mentioned one album.
He's only got one in.
Just list them off before we mention anything.
Okay, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, You're the Man by Marvin Gaye. It's honestly a toss up between Because the Internet and Awaken My Love.
Sure. Which would you pick right now? Which would you rather listen to in this moment?
Because the Internet.
That's what I would.
Awaken My Love's a better album, but Because the Internet probably has more like nostalgia.
Oh, without a doubt.
And then your fourth?
Honestly, give me shit about it. Fucking Beale Street Could Talk.
Oh, the score.
Dude, that sounds like gunfire.
I heard that one, yeah.
Yeah, let me just like check on this real quick.
Don't get shot.
A distance. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's my neighbors directly above me. I might need to like. I just keep hearing the pop, but then upstairs I just keep hearing like banging and running and voices. All right, y'all. That's Indistinct Chatter. I'm Tanner.
I'm Vlad.
I'm Austin.
I'm Griffin.
Thanks for watching.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, Vlad, do the Disney DVD thing.
I'm just supposed to do it?
Yes.
I don't have it memorized. I have to type it out.
Why don't you?